Hello everyone, welcome to Tactica Imperialis and to today's video. Today is episode 126 of Adeptus Podcastus. Joining me as always is Remleiz from 40k Theories.
I live.
Excellent, good to see you back with us again after, yes, you may have seen last episode, but it's good to hear that you are all alright and a little bit better, which is good to hear. And our special guest this week, joining us from 2 weeks ago, ladies, gentlemen, Xenos of all ages, and everything in between, I give you the creator of Warhams and star of If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Device, among many other things, ZoranTheBear.
Hey guys, how you doing? And did you guys make fun of me last week?
No.
Just kind of like, oh.
No, it's... No, for context, we invited Zoran 2 weeks ago, and that's what the whole discussion of, missed an alarm was about. Sorry.
Yeah, I was doing a whole bunch of stuff, and I was like, all right, man, I gotta get ready for this weekend. I gotta do this. And I slept through 3 alarm clocks. 3 of them, I woke up and I'm like, oh no! And I immediately messaged Remleiz and immediately messaged them going, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. And then
it's fine. It's honestly fine. It's just one of those things. It happens. I've slept through alarms and had to scramble to work more than once in my life, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's completely human, but at the same time, I cannot say I'm sorry. I messed up.
It's all good. But how are you doing, Zoran?
I'm doing great, man. I've been busy as all hell. I've been trying to get stuff going. I've been playing actually 9th edition, a pretty good chunk here and there. I've been
on table
actually
or
playing with anchors.
On tabletop sim.
Mostly on tabletop sim, obviously because how the world has been. I have actually been able to go to any hobby shops or anything, but I've been playing tabletop sim like a little bit with super anchors, so he plays Dorn, whatever in TTS. And with just friends and things like that, just generally just trying to figure out, what army I actually want to play, because I've been now leading to custom Space Marine factions or orcs or whatever, and seeing the developments of how 9th edition has been going, even with its disruptions, has actually been kind of interesting, because it's now a lot of people who I play with feel like the balance is kind of off, things are kind of wonky this edition because of just how upset everything got with release of rules and the time frame of that. So it's actually been a pretty interesting time.
Yeah, I can imagine. I still actually haven't played a game of 9th edition yet. I've had the book all year, but it's AOS 3 launch day today on the day we're recording this.
Yeah.
And it's been literally a year since 9th edition came out, and I still haven't played it because of the whole situation and the fact that my computer doesn't really want to know what Tabletop Simulator is.
It's and I kind of don't blame them. That for a company perspective, that in and of itself is just such a weird area, and something that obviously as a company for Games Workshop's perspective, you want people obviously to buy your stuff, and Tabletop Sim eliminates a lot of that, but people actively play the game on it. And what I've kind of seen people do is just actually just test out their armies of what they're going to play on Tabletop Sim and then go physically buy the stuff. It's actually, I've seen it be more of a gateway than a hindrance, but at the same time, I don't have the numbers on all that. But I actually am excited for Age of Sigmar, to be honest with you. For the 3rd one, I've been watching it from a distance, and our game master for Warhams, Thurston, he really likes Age of Sigmar. And one of the things or criticisms I would have about 9th edition for Warhammer 40k is the charge phase, because once you get a line of charges, it's I'm now going to beat you over with a stick until you die, and then it'll be your turn. But I think in Age of Sigmar, I think it's a little bit different. I think there's a little bit more back and forth, which I feel is you get a little bit more risk with the charge, which sounds more fair, but I actually haven't played it, so I can't really be any authority on that. Yeah, but I'm actually curious to see how the rules do.
Yeah, 40k has the charging units fight first. AOS doesn't. You get first pick, but it's not charging units fight first unless you've got other army benefits. I think Slanesh is very good at making enemies fight last. Lumineth Realm Lords pick 2 to fight instead of 1, so they're more comfortable with a mass charge because they can get 2 units to fight before their opponent does anything. But that's army specific, not gameplay for core rules. I've not had a chance to read the core rules yet. I've bought the rulebook today, and then spent 2 hours, I'm not even kidding, 2 hours in the lore section reading every minor detail.
Any bit about it that you specifically liked? Like, is there anything about it that really popped out to you?
I mean, it's been interesting because AOS has moved from the Soul Wars to the Era of the Beast. We've sort of left the Era of Nagash behind, and now we've got Kragnos, and it's all centered around the Realm of Beast, Gur rather than Shyish. And so it's been interesting just to see how sort of perspectives have changed, get a bit more of a fleshed out, sort of outsider's perspective of the Broken Realms arc. Things like Broken Realms, Teclis, Marathi, Be'lakor, and Kragnos all get a double-page spread, sort of telling the events that led up to and then came after the Broken Realms books, which is really good. We got our first insight into the Dawnbringer Crusades, which is not the Indomitus Crusade, shut up, and how they work. We got some beautiful artwork of free cities in every realm. The artwork of Settler's Gain, if I remember, I'm going to put some of that artwork on screen now. Settler's Gain and Hammerhal Gyra was beautiful. There was, what was the other one that really stuck out to me? I can't remember, but there's some beautiful artwork in there, as well as a look at the new Sigmarite strongholds that basically form the towns of the Dawnbringer Crusade, how they work with these floating metallith islands that pre-build all the structures on them so that they can be established really quickly. And they really look like old barbarian towns, but high fantasy barbarian towns, and they're fantastic. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. We're going to deep dive into a lot of stuff, into cities, characters. Haven't read all the faction lore yet in full, but it's been a really good read so far. And yeah, anyone who's still under the impression that AOS might be a nice game, but it has bad lore because they're still hung up on day one release, then go re-educate, I'm afraid, because oh my god, the lore is amazing. It is so amazing right now.
And speaking of which, for Age of Sigmar, I think as we're recording right now, I actually kind of have it on the screen, just watching it muted.
Yeah, there's a preview happening right now.
Yeah, they just showed off some two-handed things of Vindicator. I can't quite remember. Now they're just showing off like range units right now and everything else. Like it's. Go ahead.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about the whole show later because obviously we've got all the news from the last couple of weeks first, and we don't.
Yeah.
As much as I enjoy reacting in real time, I think it might probably be in our interest to save it for later.
Oh no, I understand. I was just going to touch on it because I was going to mention that I've always looked at Age of Sigmar from afar, and one of the things, like, obviously I think there's always like that soft spot where people would always kind of bring up every so often, like, oh man, like the older fantasy and stuff, and that's what we've been dealing with Warhams, because we've been doing the Warhammer Fantasy RPG in that one. And one of the things that even for Age of Sigmar, or even every time I look at, like, I'm not interested in the Sigmarines at all. I'm more interested in like what are the orcs doing, and obviously where are the dwarves. But then there's two more types of dwarves. Here's your sky pirate looking things, steampunk look. I think the I forgive their name. Thank you, sir. And the fire drakes, I think the other ones. And I kept having to ask my buddy, going like, what about my what about my other dwarves? Like, what about my, here's the shield walls and cannons and stuff. Like, what about the old dwarves? And then he would go, oh yeah, the iron drakes are actually best thing in the game. And then he'll just show, it's like, yeah, they're actually pretty solid. And I think if I ever get into the game, I'm probably just gonna just grasp onto them for dear life. And
that faction is the Cities of Sigmar, where you get to play old school dwarves and humans and elves in the same army if you want.
Perfect.
I'm really glad that I can understand sort of that exploration coming at it from the TTRPG side of trying to find an entry point into Sigmar is probably not as easy coming from old fantasy as it used to be. Because it used to be like, oh, all the old factions just got ported and now we have Stormcast. Now, like High Elves, now you have Lumineth. Dark Elves, now you have Daughters of Cain. Wood Elves, I hope you like trees. Then you've got like Dwarves, I hope you like Slayers, or I hope you like Shock, I hope you like Steampunk. It's a lot more difficult now, I think, for those really old fantasy diehards to find their entry point compared to 3-4 years ago when it was still relatively new and fresh. But if if you want to get into it, there is enough there for the old hands. Pretty much every faction that used to exist still does in some form, with the exception of Britannia, unless you're like ghouls and Tomb Kings, because Tomb Kings. But generally, there's enough ways in for old players, but it's not maybe ideal.
Yeah, it's always that kind of difficult decision, because like you can probably talk to anybody who tries to get into anything, like either it be like the tabletop RPGs, either it be like the tabletop painting, etc. It's kind of like, at what point do you get interested in it? And I know a lot of people really just enjoy that old kind of like old fantasy kind of look and feel, and that's what a lot of people got into fantasy for, because it's kind of like what a lot of people grew up with. And with all this kind of new Age of Sigmar stuff, is like, even me and even some other friends have pretty much been like, at what point, like, where's something we can grab onto? Because something feels too specific for us to really care about yet. But I feel like I'm kind of like me and some of the friends that I talk to who have the same feelings. They're starting to become the minority, which I kind of feel is fantastic, because I'm kind of glad that Age of Sigmar is, finding its own feet and stuff.
Absolutely. But I think probably in terms of just trying to explain what the conversation about old fantasy RPGs, I suppose we should probably, for the sake of the viewer, and to be honest, for me as well, as someone who knows what it is, but does not have the time in their day to watch it, what is Warhams? How does it work? And particularly, how do the TTRPGs work? Because there is a part of the game that exists in their own pocket dimension, because they're not like official GW pushed product.
It's so what is a Warhams? So Warhams for the show and stuff kind of like came together when, because I was talking to Alpha Busa, and everyone knows he makes TTS. And one of the problems that usually is with TTS is that we'll constantly have comments. Like, even when I'm streaming or something like that, I'll just have people hop in the chat and basically be like, hey, when's the next episode? Because it takes a while to animate all that stuff, and Alpha's basically just a one-man machine and all of that stuff, and it takes a lot of time to write it, go through it, proofread everything, get all the animations done, get all the art for those animations, get all the voice acting done, process all that stuff, get everything together, mix all that together, do all the sound effects. It's a lot of work, even just for one person, so it takes a lot of time.
Plus, he's got a baby to look after as well now.
Yeah, and now he just got a child, and a lot of people, like, one thing that also kind of like irks us a little bit is like, as soon as he had kind of announced he had a kid, everyone's like, oh, TTS is over, it's all gonna be done. He's like, no. No, like he's probably gonna work even harder now for that child. And one of the things is like we're all trying our best to pitch in for him to kind of help take up any extra slack that he needs. And Warhams was kind of a proposal I made, going like, hey, it seems like you're having, like, it takes a long time for each episode to come out. And I don't know if you want to try this, but I've been wanting to run tabletop RPG shows, and I've been doing it in the past and stuff like that. And I really love playing tabletop RPGs. And so I offered, hey, let's do this. So in between episodes, people got something just to chew on. We'll try it out, see if they like it. And if they like it, we'll figure out something with it. And if they don't, we'll just cancel the whole thing. It's like, it's just no sweat, nothing harm, no harm, no done. And it kind of worked out. Now we basically now have two things. We have the Warhammer 40k side, and now we have the Warhammer Fantasy side, in which actually after this recording, I actually got to hop off and go run it, because we usually do it on Saturdays. So we are, and it's really interesting, because for the pocket dimension kind of thing that you said, that Games Workshop does actually support these. They don't heavily push it, because their main like their marketing pipeline really can only really support so much. But they do make, I think they do make articles every so often, but I know it's not like their major focus. It's like, if it can't stand on its own, then
the only RPG-ish things I've ever seen from GW are like the Warhammer Quest games, which are which are their own standalone board game RPG kind of like thing. But I've never seen an article about
Black Fortress was also like that on the 40k side.
Yeah, that's right. Warhammer Quest. Yeah, Blackstone Fortress was a Warhammer Quest. But
my bad.
But I don't remember seeing an article about, say, Cubicle 7's AOS Soulbound, which is the RPG that I go to first and foremost. I don't remember seeing an article on Warhammer Community ever about it. Maybe
the only thing I can recall in regards to anything tabletop related is years and years ago, back when Games Workshop had their Inquisitor RPG, and that was years ago.
Yeah, it's really weird for it, but I know for a fact that they like have arrangements and stuff because it was basically on how it works is like basically Games Workshop, like for the one that we're currently playing with is Wrath and Glory. That one had a lot of mishaps and even some like secretive things they've now learned about it. Basically it's transitioned from one company to another, and with the new company, which is with Cubicle 7, they were like, here's a license, you gotta support it for this long. Like you gotta at least give this game a shot and actually make this thing a thing, you know? And it's always been curious to me because I think they've mentioned it here and there, but in terms of like how much they've given that to just any random other thing, it's actually been pretty interesting. But at the same time, knowing on how marketing departments work, there's only so much bandwidth you can make your main outlets go, and you kind of know what the audience is looking for in there. But it's been really fun going through them because as we've been playing through, we've actually been finding a lot of like, you know, how do you function with a tabletop RPG for 40K? Because say, for example, if you use something like Dungeons and Dragons or even Pathfinder or any science fiction thing like Cyberpunk or Shadowrun and stuff, normally you can manipulate them to be kind of whatever you want. And you usually, what a lot of people do is take those systems and homebrew to be whatever they want. So it's like, I have the core system, but this world is mine. Or I'll take D&D system and I'll make my entire world. And there's even like a Star Wars conversion for 5th edition because of the system itself. But when you get in the Warhammer RPGs, I noticed that there's a giant wall of entry, and that giant wall of entry is knowing what the world is. And that's usually been how the hell are you going to play this if you don't know what the cogitator is? Like, how do you go through this world and how do you function through this stuff? Because all of it is balanced just for that stuff. So that's the interesting challenge we've been having, because like, as much as I really enjoy Warhammer and all this other stuff, I'm not a huge lore nerd. Like, I don't know all the intricacies of it, but I know enough to get through it. And that's why thankfully we have Thurston, who's our game master, because he knows way more about the lore, way more about like Age of Sigmar, fantasy, and 40K and stuff than possibly any of us in that game combined. So needing someone like that to even play is a hard entry. Like with any tabletop RPG or any tabletop, it's just that level of entry which is so hard. But yeah, we've been actually having a real blast with it though, and trying to find a way to bring our own universe, because we're using the TTS universe for the 40K one, and we're just using the normal old world, like actually lore stuff for fantasy, which I think is I can't remember the name of the campaign now, but it's a very famous campaign. It'll probably come back to me later, but we're actually doing actual lore stuff for it, and which I think is interesting, because I think all that stuff is sanctioned as well. I'm just talking at my butt on this one, so please don't quote me on it, but I believe, because Games Workshop has to process a lot of this stuff that gets officially made. So if you're looking for more lore stuff, even like actually looking at the tabletop RPG books actually might be an avenue. I probably have to double check that myself, because I don't want to say absolutely like this is 100% true. Like, double check it, but if you're just wanting more stuff and more story, tabletop RPGs can actually give you something.
Yeah, and I think what's been interesting for me is I'm coming at it from the other side. Like, I know the universe inside out, forwards, backwards, 17 ways to Sunday. Well, I used to, and I'm probably a bit rustier than I used to be. But certainly at one point, I really, really, really understand all the intricacies and the ins and outs of the setting. But something about them has always made it difficult for me to engage with it. Like, I've got friend groups in my Discord server who do D&D on a weekly basis. They ran or attempted to run a Wrath and Glory campaign at one point. I think this was before the big switch over rewriting thingamabob, and they found it really clunky. And I've been interested in trying for ages Soulbound, because I don't know, I've just been on a Sigmar craze for the last year and a half, and you can't stop me. But yeah, something about it has always just put me off, and I think it's the character-driven side of it, in that when you're trying to play one of these games, you need to know who you are, what you're doing, what your motivations are, and therefore how you respond. It's the role-playing aspect of it, especially in a virtual form where you don't have physical pieces to move around a board like in, say, Warhammer Quest. Without the physical board in front of me, I find it really hard to visualize what I'm doing, and maintaining character and then developing a complex backstory for that character and using that to explain. I'm not the best homebrewer, as my original backstory will attest. I'm not a great backstory writer. And I always feel nervous taking it on because I feel like I'll do a terrible job and ruin the experience for everybody else. Maybe I just need the right game master or games mistress or whoever to take me through it first. I don't know.
I have solutions for you, exactly for some of your points. Yeah, so if you're ever worried about needing something physically in front of you, there's obviously things called virtual tabletops, like if you know what Roll20 is, and the thing we've been using is Foundry Virtual Tabletop.
Yeah, because I saw the game that they were playing was on Roll20, and it felt as a viewer, I did not have a clue what was going on. Watching my friends play it on Roll20, I did not have a Scooby-Doo what was going on at any point.
Scooby-Doo. I'm sorry, that's great. That's wonderful.
Yeah, maybe because I didn't have the rulebook in front of me, but I could not follow why each dice roll was leading to a thing, and it's like, oh, you need to roll this, but you also need to modify it by this. Why are you modifying it by this? Like, what rule says that? And I don't know, maybe I did the rules in front
it's rough. It's this is something that I think we all kind of fight with, that especially when you present anything like that as a show, it's kind of like you kind of have to already be into tabletop RPGs to get into it. And it's something that even we're constantly fighting, because like if you constantly explain what you're doing, or constantly explain the math all the time, then it just feels like I'm reading out equations to you all day. And a lot of it is also like, it's very simple in our mind, because we kind of know it's like, oh, if I roll this d20 and plus this number, it's going to match this number, which will then equal to a hit. But it's really hard to present that when everything needs to go so fast, or so you don't want to bog down a session in which we try to put ourselves on a time limit so the podcast versions of stuff isn't too long, to where if you add all that stuff, it like triples the time for like that presentation. But if you're in like a home game, which I always recommend for people, is like before if you really get into that part of the hobby, like definitely play some local games, find a good game master or someone who knows what they're doing, and like ease your way through it. So next time you do watch these, or if you get really invested in it, you can kind of know what you're doing. And for the role play portion of it, there's one kind of interesting problem, even just for the universes that we play in, is that a lot of the lore or a lot of the presentation that I would see, at least for Warhammer and Warhammer in general, is that you don't, like, one of the things even I struggle, you guys might actually have suggestions for books that I can possibly go for. I struggle to find, here is the everyday life of an Imperial citizen. And I feel that it's not looked at as much. You guys might be able to disagree and tell me like, hey, no, that actually is a huge thing here. But I usually say, here's only the Space Marines, and here's only that. And the Space Marine story, at least to me, sometimes turned into, hello, Battle Brother. What would we do today, Battle Brother? We must go and purge the Xenos, Battle Brother. Excellent, Battle Brother. Let us go and do the thing and find the relic and kill the Necron who owns the tomb. Thanks, Battle Brother. This is totally original. And that's as far as I found them to go. And I like the Imperial stories way more, which I actually think they released a new book or something with more Imperial guys. But like, I don't know if you guys have any like book suggestions or anything that like fit that motif for people like me and others.
I think one series to look at is the Dawn of Fire series, actually, the sort of Indomitus Crusade books, because yes, there are Space Marine fight scenes, and yes, it is following Gilliman around a little bit for the first book, but you get to see the Indomitus Crusade through the eyes of scribes, historitors, everyday troopers, Space Marines who aren't completely overawed by everything and just doing the punchy smashy thing. You get it through the eyes of chaos cultists as well a little bit. I found that Gate of Bones and Dawn of Fire, Avenging Sun, that's his name. The Dawn of Fire books are actually quite good if you can deal with all the chapter hopping nonsense. I think we were discussing Avenging Sun the last time you were on the show, if I recall correctly.
You probably were, and on how much I don't know diddly squat about lore. Like, I probably don't remember much of it.
But those two books have actually jumped around so many characters that you do get to see non-military Imperial personnel a bit. It's not a lot, but it's a bit. And they're the best examples I can come up with off the top of my head. I'm sure Rem's got more than I do, but they're the best ones I can come up with.
Oh, yeah, there's quite a few examples. Like, do you want, like, life of the average... Fucking hell. I can't get some words out. Fuck it. If you want, day in the life of your average underhiver on Necromunda, then you got, like, a whole bunch of books set in Necromunda. Like, you got the Cal Jericho series, for example, if you want some Hive Gang action. If you want, like, what's it like with the Inquisition conducting an investigation of a crime or something, you got the Vault of Terror series for that, which I do highly recommend.
Probably be good as well.
Yeah, yeah. Same. Well, to a lesser extent, probably Warhammer Horror as well, to be honest.
Possibly.
Because obviously let's be honest, it's a bit hard to have horror when you're, a super, strong, transhuman demigod. It's a bit easy to be scared when it's just like regular person living in, Hive Cubicle C or something. Even if one of the Warhammer horror stories apparently is a complete and utter rip-off of Hellsing in terms of plot. But hey, that's a different issue entirely.
Because that perspective's always been lost on me, and that's why it's also sometimes hard for people to kind of, or why a lot of these tabletop RPGs kind of put you more in that, like, you can be a Space Marine, and then it's like, yeah, but what if I want to be like the Imperial Guard guy who like has to go buy groceries, once he's done or something like
that. Reminds me, you just remind me, the Gaunt's Ghost series, which is basically just Sharp in space.
Yeah.
And the novel Blood Pact, I just want to point out again, because, yes, it's absolutely amazing, there is a recurring subplot in that book about cake.
Cake?
Cake.
We can't have cake in my grim. It's like, you want to elaborate on the cake conspiracy, or?
Oh, it's like a recurring bit, like, one of the guards, every day when they're on shore leave, they're going around, like, running around this town doing exercise every morning, and every morning they stop at this bakery, having a little bit of the cake shop, and it's like, oh, have a bit of cake. And then Chaos Cultists turn, including Cornate Sorcerers. You heard that correctly. It's a weird one, but it was a really good book. It was really good.
It's like, and I kind of like that little bits or whatever for the 40K universe, because one of the things that we kind of suffer with a lot, especially for doing the show or whatever, is that a lot of people kind of want us to go the meme route a lot, to where
I can imagine,
it does get like me being with like this kind of stuff for about, I think it's been like 7+ years now. When I kind of think about it, it's actually been really long. One of, like, I would say one of the downsides of doing TTS stuff or whatever is that, which the experience has been absolutely amazing to go for, first off, that is the constant barrage of memes. Like, it's actually gotten to the, like several times. I'm pretty sure you, Remleiz, and you, Tactica, have been bombarded by it.
Me a lot less, because I've not been in TTS, but I've heard a lot.
Yeah, it's
ever, given my job, probably best ever.
If I could, may I have a slight soapbox so I could scream?
Sure.
People, for real quick. So, okay, I want you to imagine every time you wake up, and when you look at your newspaper, it's nothing but TTS references or people yelling TTS references at you, and then you try to call your friend, and he won't. Like, you try to turn the conversation, and they'll be like, "Hey man, where are we gonna go to that Korean barbecue place at some point? Like, we should probably go there." And he's like, "Well, did you know that the Imperial Fist also built those Korean barbecues?" And it's like, I didn't bring it up. It's like, I didn't say anything. And it's that, and the thing of that is, like, every moment of your life, every time you try to say a sentence, every time you try to say anything, if you say anything about fortifications, God help you. God help you. You will not hear the end of it. And you will just sit there, and, like, at the start, it's funny. Like, at the start, it's like, okay, another heresy joke. Oh, great. I'm glad. Hooray! And now it's like, I just want to die. It's like, I just want to expire at my earliest convenience. If I hear another heresy joke, if I hear another fortification joke, if I hear another, another furry effer or whatever, like, it is like, I am tired. Like, this is my ask of you. No more. Just no more, please. It's been 7+ years.
Yeah.
I got the joke already. It's not the first one. Stop it.
Yeah, it's kind of that whole, the whole Victor Meldrew, I don't believe it thing, in regards to us. Because that guy gets so angry when someone says it to him to the point, like, he'll actually beat them up.
Which I don't blame thank you for letting me rant, because that's how I've been feeling like for the past 5 years.
I'll be honest. I still get in the comments sections every day something about Cyberdongs or like, but can the Emperor be better at Cyberdongs? Like, yes, it was a funny joke, but how long ago was that episode? Can you please stop it now, please?
The joke's old, my friend. It's always that, like, I'm glad you love it. I'm glad you're having such a good time with it. But please gain this perspective. We heard it. We wrote the jokes.
There's other jokes you can. There's other jokes you can parrot. Go for them at least.
Just slam jokes down people's throats, man. You got to use them right. Like, there are times when people have made TTS references to me in the right moment and the right timing. Hilarious. And then there's people who just want to vomit it at me, and I'm like, I'm so glad you love the show. I'm so happy that you enjoyed what everyone has made and worked so hard on. But please, please, for my sanity, I don't want to die. Just no more. So, yeah, that's the minor rant I have. But
and I guarantee the first comment on this video will be, "Have you no wolves?" or something to that effect.
Exactly. And I'm just gonna be so disappointed.
Well, luckily I moderate my comments, so I can just ignore it.
It's like, guys, don't make any wolves jokes. Comment on the uwu jokes.
Oh, that too. Like, we just did that as a joke. Like, yeah, this would be cute. And then I'll literally have people come up and message me and be like, "Hey man, you want to do a little bit more of the uwu stuff? I really like that stuff." And I'm like, "Nah, I'm good, man." It's like we're passing it up. But with all this content creation stuff and the sufferings of them all, I think Warhammer's trying to get into its own kind of content creation stuff with the Warhammer Plus deals it's been going on, which has been fairly interesting. And I don't know how much you guys have been delving into that at all.
I know there was a preview, and I read the article about the preview. I was at work at the time. But yes, we got a really good, deep first look at Warhammer Plus. This was filmed, streamed back on the 23rd of June. It's now the 3rd of July. So it's been about 10 days or so since. But there has been a lot of stuff that they've confirmed will be available with a Warhammer Plus subscription, which goes as follows. On the 25th of August-ish, Warhammer Plus will launch with a subscription cost of £4 or $5.99 in USD or your regional variant per month. Or if you get an annual subscription, you get effectively 2 months free. Where you get it's £50 or $60, so you get 12 months for the price of 10 if you take the full year. For that subscription, you get the following: the Warhammer animations that we all knew about, including Hammer and Bolter, Angels of Death, etc., etc. And it says that they will be available weekly. So the first episodes of Angels of Death and Hammer and Bolter will be available on launch, with new stuff in the animation department almost every Wednesday. So they're promising near weekly updates on the animations front, which is probably why they've got so many shows, so that they can keep all that stuff. In terms of probably your favorite show, I'd say probably it would be every 6 to 10 weeks, probably depending on production budget. You get exclusive shows that no one else gets, called Citadel Color Masterclass, which is basically advanced painting tutorials that go beyond the ones on the Warhammer TV YouTube channel, as well as a series known as Lore Masters, the official Warhammer lore show presented by experts, which is a thing. You also get new battle reports, which will be exclusively available on there as well. which in terms of your exclusive content, you get a free premium subscription to both the Warhammer 40,000 and the new Warhammer Age of Sigmar app. I don't know how much money that actually costs in total off the top of my head, but you do get a premium subscription for both of them if you get Warhammer Plus. You get Warhammer Vault, which is essentially lore sections from past publications, and titles include Gathering Storm, Sanctus Reach, and much more to allow you to catch up, as well as the Realmgate Wars, Battleline Portents, and stuff that's gone out of circulation because it's older, out-of-date lore, as well as White Dwarf with classic articles, battle reports and stuff, with the entire back catalogue from 2020, and they'll probably work backwards from there. You get free perks at events, as well as obviously, not obviously, the final thing, a free model every year. So a model worth approximately £25 per year will be available free for Warhammer Plus subscribers. For 40k players, you can have access to a Vindicare Assassin with a really custom base in the top of a statue. And for Age of Sigmar, you get access to a mega boss of some kind. I can't remember exactly what type of model it is. You can buy the other one, but you do get a free one as well. And it should be made clear, I think, that Warhammer Plus subscribers are the only ones who get access to any of them by the sounds of it, though I'm not entirely confident on that one. So it's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to hear Remleiz, like, for someone like in your position and stuff, like with how much like
because I noticed
consume. Like, what would you get in for this?
I think it's got a lot of good things you got coming up on the actual site itself. Like, I like the Vault, the idea of the Vault, getting access to all this old hour production lore. I like that idea.
Makes our job a lot easier.
Oh yes. I'm curious to see how the masterclass stuff in regards to painting will be. How advanced would it be in comparison to the stuff you actually have on the YouTube channel already? I'm curious to see how much different that actually is.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the tutorials on Warhammer TV, I've watched a few of them for my own benefit, they're nice. They're not going to get you armies on parade or anything like that. They'll get you parade-ready models, but they'll not win you any awards, generally. And they show you mostly about the colour combinations rather than the techniques. They don't really push there's not a tutorial of non-metallic metals, for example, because that would take an hour. So that's one of the things I'd expect to find inside the colour masterclass would be an effective white or non-metallic metals or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, and I suppose we should probably just bring up the elephants in the room in regards to the Lore Masters thing, because I've seen a few people getting nervous, as it were, because they're worried that Games Workshop will start DMCAing channels for whatever reason. I don't know why they would. But regardless, someone actually asked the question to Warhammer Community's Facebook page, what's going to happen in regards to independent lore channels on YouTube? Like, are you going to invite them to do collaborations, or are you going to leave them be, or what's the deal? And their official response was, there's so much lore in the universe of Warhammer that there's always room for more. Which says to me, they're going to leave all the channels alone. I mean, let's be honest, some of the big channels, they might actually collab with them. Like, I can imagine them collabing with Looted at some point or something to that effect. Because they've collabed with... Pardon, sorry?
Or you.
No, they won't with me.
Don't not count yourself as one of the big guns here.
Oh, I'm not. We know that anyway. Regardless, because, what was I saying? Now you made me lose my train of thought. Fuck you.
Collabing.
All right, yes.
So many nice things about you, lose your mind.
How dare you?
At least to add on to it, it's like, from out of all the like I don't really get to consume a lot of 40k content on YouTube or anything because I just don't actively go in for it. But you are actually one of the major ones that I actually kind of go, oh, Remleiz video. And stuff like that. So I still wouldn't discount you. I'm glad, thank you for being humble and everything, but at least we will speak for you and saying you I would definitely put you in that category.
Yeah,
of
you don't need to toot your own horn, but there is a horn.
Yeah, we'll do the Hornberg horn for you.
Well, thank you anyway. But yeah, I can imagine like doing collab with someone like Luton and stuff like that. If need be, because Warhammer Community, they have collabed with what's it called, Lexicanum. Because they briefly did a Lore Master series on the website, didn't they? Which it was like Lexicanum Lore Masters, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I can see them collabing with certain people in the community at some point. It'd be nice. It'd be nice because, to be honest, hey, guess what, Games Workshop? What are we doing? We're giving you free advertising here.
Yeah, I suppose we are.
I mean, let's be honest. It's like, because what's better for a company just inviting some no nonsense or rando YouTuber and get them to influence like 100,000 subscribers, or paying like hundreds of thousands of pounds in a marketing budget.
True. And overall, from someone who very much was like wait and see on Warhammer Plus, I wasn't one of those, oh my god, it's the worst thing ever, but also I wasn't like, yes, inject it into my veins. I really just wanted to wait and see. I have to say, the value proposition, like, put aside anything else, value-wise, this thing is nuts. Because let's say you take the annual subscription. I know that's the best value deal. So let's say you're trying to save the most money possible. You take out the annual subscription and it's 50 quid. You get a free model, which is, let's say, 25 quid. So that's half your subscription redeemed already. You then get, assuming you're an AOS and a 40k player, 2 premium app subscriptions, which is probably about a £5, or something like that. It might not be a £5 a month, but it's certainly a number. So it's probably about a £5's worth of actual cost. So all of a sudden you're down to 20 quid. So for 20 quid, you are getting access to a premium YouTube channel in the form of Lore Masters, Battle Reports, and Citadel Masterclass. You're getting access to VIP tickets to any event you choose to go to, which is more money saved. And you're effectively paying about 50 pence a week for an episode of animation.
It is a lot of stuff.
Effectively, you're paying, we were for like, a YouTube channel membership on those channels that do have the membership option open, basically, aren't you? Essentially, aren't you?
Yeah, it is. In terms of how they've priced it correctly, I think they have. I don't feel that it's overpriced.
Did we talk about the exclusive models?
I mentioned that they exist. I haven't gone into any detail.
Okay.
But we can review them now.
Yeah, because I just want to point out, like, one of the, the Vindicare, let's be honest, that's a display piece. That's not a tabletop piece.
It's a bloody amazing display piece.
If someone brings that thing onto a table, I'm just going to be like, I'm going to shoot that thing if I see a part of that statue. Like, I can clearly see him.
It's just going to topple over how small that base is.
Dude, it's a beautiful model, though.
Oh, yeah. No one's questioning that. It's just like, it's probably not tabletop, viable.
Yeah,
that's like an objective marker.
I really expect to see it. I really expect to see it in like Golden Demon as sort of a, the dual category, a Golden Demon.
Oh, yeah.
I'd really expect to see that there. Or as an armies on parade centerpiece, like you've got your Imperial army marching through the streets, and then just up at the top, maybe pointing at the commander in the back, just to make sure the commander's doing their job. You've got this Vindicare at the back, just looming over top, hidden from all, type of thing. I could really see great dioramas and centerpieces made out of it.
Oh, I wonder if you can like try to find like a transition effect in some way, to where like if you're looking at it in some way, like there's him there, but then something in the middle gives you the illusion that it's like a long distance zoom, and then you just see what he's aiming at the end. Like if you get really inventive with it, you can get some good results.
I can imagine it being someone like that. I don't know if you remember that Slayer Sword winner one with the Blood Angels and the Nids. Like the Nids just like crawling up.
Pile.
Yeah, something like that, but like
it was amazing.
Something like that, but like with the Vindicare, like basically like trying to shoot off hordes and hordes of like gaunts, like climbing up the statue kind of thing. That could work. It's really awesome.
It's like that one, that particular one you referenced is like my favorite like if I had that, I would just be happy. Like it would be the centerpiece in a glass case, everything lights on, and going, look what I have. It's beautiful. But for all this stuff, like it's like for me, like I think I could only be like the only negative Nancy about it is like because there's always a different perspective. Like you guys would probably like I guess from assuming from what you guys have been talking about it is that you guys see this as an overall like heck yeah, this is fantastic.
I think it is good value if it's what you want. If you wanted a place to go and get animations, then you get essentially roughly one animation per week for 50 pence or maybe about 60 cents per episode, assuming you watch everything. You get a year's worth of animation for 60 cents an episode, assuming you watch everything.
I think it's something that's got a lot of potential and is looking very promising. We'll see how it actually turns out on launch. But so far, expectations are pretty high at the moment. We'll just wait and see if they, hold up to expectations.
Yeah, which is the worry for because I know for my side of the field, it's like the VIP stuff. Like I'm actually planning at some point to go to some Warhammer events at some point. So I feel like maybe go to like Adepticon or something like that. So if you need GW, because I know GW is really kind of hammering down on the tournament scene and really kind of pushing their way in there. And because recently they even announced even going down through the south, like I think one's in New Orleans, one's in Austin.
Yeah,
Texas.
that one, yeah.
Yeah, which I actually might go stop by one of them at some point. And because I'm in the area, so I figured like, okay, let's just see how this is. And if they have any like trial setups there, it's kind of like, do you just go to a bar? Do you because I've been at TwitchCon and like for partners and stuff, you just get like a room, which is like a partner only lounge or whatever, and it's just like, hello, fellow partner. Like it's like there's not really much there, and like sure you might be able to make connections, but at the same time, it's like, what's going to happen there for the Vault. I actually think the Vault would be one of the most interesting because it's always hard sometimes if you want to get the books legit whenever they just stop putting them up for sale. It's like, that I think is great. The miniatures, I've kind of got out of the miniature game at this point. I just buy them or I just commission someone to do the models for me. And I haven't really messed with models for a while, so I'm kind of disinterested. The animations, like I'm really hoping for the animations that they don't do the thing that I fear they're going to do and just make it like, here is Space Marine doing cool things and that's it. Like I actually kind of want something out of it in a weird way because it's I don't know if I'm sounding like super entitled with it, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, the series they did announce, it's not just going to be Space Marine, focused. Like there's one that's going to be like Inquisition focused, one that's going to be like Town Eldari focused.
Yeah.
There's an Imperial Knights one. There's AOS ones.
As to elaborate, what I'm meaning is that I don't want it to just be a glory showcase. Like I don't want it just to be look at this famous IP figure just stand around, look cool, and maybe they kill an enemy here and there. Like I'm hoping these actually have like some nice story to them, and like you're really interested to see what's going to happen next episode, kind of deal. Because
they wouldn't push them this hard if they weren't expecting good stuff. I wouldn't expect the creators of Astartes and Hell's Reach just to start being terrible because they were on GW's payroll.
Oh yeah, it's like I guess because I'm always so cynical now because of stuff like this, to where I'm just kind of like, please don't suck. Like I want this to succeed. I want this to be the most badass thing possible, and I want to like be happy that I'm now investing in all this. But that's my fear. That I just hope that it's like, hey, I want something to where I want like the Game of Thrones thing that kind of happened where we all kind of sit down on the weekend, we all bring our friends together onto the couch and we watch the next episode kind of deal.
And then we all complain about season 8.
Yeah, I was just
really angry. Like it's gonna be like, and all the Space Marines are Tyranids anyway, so it never mattered, and now we're all pissed.
Someone's gonna do a meme about the Alpha Legion somewhere. Let's be bloody honest.
Oh yeah, someone's gonna. We already made a rant about the. It's like everything was Alpha Legion. I don't know. Have you guys used the apps at all before I go on my?
No, I haven't but I do know they do include a fair amount of stuff. Like, obviously, you've got access to the list builders and things like that, which you can do in the free app. You can like have a look at some things, but you also get access, I think, to all the relevant expansion books. Like, the AOS is getting a brand new app, so I can't speak for what that's going to be like. But the old AOS app, you could access every war scroll in the game for free, but you could then pay to get access to the rules for a faction or the rules from an expansion book to allow you to use those in your game. So if you just wanted to learn an army, you'd have to pay for it. So if you've got a premium subscription, then you should be able to access every single rule in the game for every single army in the game for free right off the bat, which basically eliminates the need to buy a codex. Now, that might not be the case. I don't know how the 40k app works. Please do enlighten me in comments just to help us clarify the situation. But it would be nice if you got access to free ebooks of every book that you sort of, maybe up to 3, you got free access to all that stuff if they're the armies you select. I don't know, maybe. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, from what I understand, at least with the 40k one, I think how they're doing it is that if you buy the physical book, you get a code that's on the back.
Yeah, you do.
And then
yeah.
you scan
You do
it
now,
for
yeah.
the app, and then you get access to all the rules. And if I remember correctly, because I've been having struggles with it, I don't think they sell PDF copies or like ebook copies of their books anymore. If I remember that right.
I need to double check. I'm not too sure, because if they do, they'll be available on Warhammer Digital.
Yeah, because like for me as a consumer, I hate this app. I hate it because and I still stick with Battlescribe for like doing 9th edition stuff because it's just easier. It's just easier to get exactly what I need for the points value. In which, like, and I just want to preface this is that like I haven't messed with this lately because I'm actually was trying to bring it up physically right now so I can kind of reference my gripes with it because they may have made major updates since then. So I just want people to kind of take what I say with a grain of salt. But using it in the past was such a headache because you would constantly run into issues of like building your list. Things would be wrong. Loading things would be very slow. Like there'd be scenarios where it's like, well, I own the book, but since I didn't scan the code, I'm now screwed kind of deal. And it's like, it's no easy transition for me as a consumer to just get my thing and go. And from what friends have told me for like official stuff, they just say, don't use that app. You use Battlescribe. Like they're very vehemently going like, no, you got to get a point list from Battlescribe. We're not using that app.
Looking on Warhammer Digital, the only like rules you can get on there for 40k are the Psychic Awakening stuff, the Vigilus stuff, and strangely the Codex supplements for the Space Marines from 8th edition, the Chaos Knight Codex, and the Chaos Space Marine Codex.
Yeah,
which is a bit
like,
weird.
It's a weird
all 8th edition,
time.
by the way.
Right now, it's like, now I'm trying to link my account. Link existing account. Looks like you have an existing Games Workshop account. Please sign in using that. I'm like, none of it works. Like,
still,
it's not even...
They're also still selling Sanctus Reach stuff as well. Oh, wait, that's on the background. Never mind.
Yeah, it's like... basically, I'm probably going to give it more of a fair shake in the future. I just want to preface again, it's like... I still don't like the app currently, but I'm hoping it's better in the future. And I'm hoping they make it way better when this thing goes live. Because currently I've been hearing nothing but like really negative things about this thing.
I'm just curious why the digital copies of Psychic Awakening Pariah and War of the Spider are more expensive than the other Psychic Awakening books.
I mean, especially Pariah, given it had less rules than everything else because the Necron Codex came out 2 months later.
Like, Pariah and Spider both like 20 quid each, and the rest are like 17 quid each. It's like with the whole fucking Custodian Codex and the Harlequin Codex. Like the Harlequin Codex was like £5 cheaper, yet it had more pages in it.
Yes, I remember.
GameSpot just needs to fold in the Sisters of Silence with the Custodians, just rebrand as Codex Talons of the Emperor.
Yep.
Gives them both more options, let's be bloody honest. But yeah, the reveals of the stream are all done now, it looks like. If you're interested.
Yes. If there's nothing further to say on Warhammer Plus, then yes, please.
Yeah, I'm good on complaining.
Right, yes. So, while we were doing the last hour of the show, Games Workshop have been doing a reveal stream for all things Age of Sigmar on Dominion launch day, where they revealed, it's kind of like for the Indomitus launch day, sort of the next phase of miniatures for the two armies in the box. So we have confirmation of the new look for AOS Battle Tomes with a red sort of header and spine, which is a really nice design. I actually really quite like it. I don't know if I prefer... It's very similar to the old style. They've just changed the spine and added a red border to the top of it and sort of added an edging. But it does look nice. And I think the new artwork for particularly the Stormcast looks really good.
The question is, will these be like the new 9th edition 40k codices and be like absolutely gimped in terms of lore?
I should hope not. But obviously we don't know that until they get into our hands. Miniature-wise, we have seen a couple new units for both armies with promise of more to come. The first is Lord Commander Bastian Carthalos, the overall leader of the Hammers of Sigmar Warrior Chamber, the OG Stormcast. This guy's above Vandus Hammerhand, above Indrasta, above New Black Talon, above everybody like that who leads their own chamber. This guy leads the entire Storm host by the sound
and has a magnificent beard.
Magnificent beard, magnificent back banner, and a redonkulous hammer that he can use and call down thunderbolts from his ear, of course. And he also comes with a War Mask option if you want to hide that magnificent beard behind a metal one for some reason. It's a very, very nice miniature.
He stole that mask from a dwarf, let's be honest.
He stole that mask from Legate Lanius. Anyway.
Fallout reference.
Next is the Knight Relictor, which is essentially a punchy version of the original Priest model from AOS 1. They come with a little fume sensor, a massive, massive maul, which is very, very cool.
And a belly-mounted lunchbox.
Yes. And it's a really nice update on the Warrior Priest sort of style of design, because Warrior Priests are a thing in Devoted of Sigmar, but they're not a thing in Stormcast, particularly with Lord Relictors. I think this is a really nice miniature. Next up is the new not light infantry, medium infantry, your sort of assault-focused infantry for the Stormcast in the Thunderstrike armor. We had the Vindictors, I think they were called now.
Vanquisher.
No, I'm trying to think of the Spearman ones. Forgotten their name off the top of my head. Which are the Spear and Shield. These guys are great sword-wielding infantry, which is a nice place to take Stormcast. We haven't really been there before yet. And they are, as you say, called Vanquishers. Not my favourite miniatures, but they are overall pretty nice. We then got another ranged option with new archers called the Vigilors. And these guys, I'm not super keen on them. But maybe that's just because they don't look like they're actually being archers. It kind of looks like they're holding bows and doing other stuff, half of them.
It's kind of like more of a ranger motif, I think.
Kind of, but there's units for that already. In the Vanguard Hunters, who've got single-handed crossbows. You've got the Vanguard Raptors, who are actual snipers. You've got the Judicators, who are your proper archers. Yeah, these guys do kind of feel a bit of a rangery vibe, which I quite like. In that sense.
I'll be honest. I preferred the look of the original Stormcast archers, to be honest.
I prefer the Judicators, I do. But I think it reflects nicely on the new lore of the Stormcast, being that they're spending a lot more time these days on the ground in the realms, because they're not beaming back to Azir constantly due to the very annoying... due to Bellicor, yes. They're spending a lot more time boots on the ground rather than that. And so they've got more of a rugged, we've been here a while kind of vibe, which is kind of nice in that sense now you point it out. We have a further expansion to the Annihilators kit. These are the super heavy Paladin class Stormcast, and they've given us a weapon option with two-handed hammers, including one with bear armor rather than the lion armor you get inside Dominion. So some nice updates there. I still think they're much better with the shields, but that's my personal preference. For the Auric War Clans, there is a lot going on for the Kruleboyz. So the first is Swamp Boss Scumdrek. which is the new named character with a Sludge Raker Beast mount. I really, really like the beast. I really do.
It's basically a rat ogre with mange. Let's be honest, it is. It's a rat ogre with mange.
It's a rat ogre that grew 5 to 6 times bigger.
Yeah.
and grew a tail.
Well, rat ogres already have tails.
True, but not like that. That's a monstrous tail. I don't know. I really like it in general, and I think it's a nice place to take like a swamp monster. It really does feel like it just crawled its way out of a swamp. You also get an alternate non-named character build called a Snatcher Boss, who's got a gas mask of some kind, as well as a hook chain type thing if you feel like channeling your inner Roadhog whilst playing Orc Warclans. And yes, I will say Roadhog because it looks more like his hook than Scorpion's. Get over it.
Well, Scorpion doesn't have a hook anyway. He had a spear.
Yes, but yeah, that's...
Or kunai, if you want to be pedantic about it.
Yeah. Grots also get a monster in the form of the Marsh Crawler Slogoth.
Basically a troll on 4 legs.
Kind of, yeah. But a lot more feral in terms of like the ears have been slashed up. It's got like one tooth, one big tucked tooth and one not. I really like it because it reminds me a lot of other like, mounted monsters with drummers like on war shrines and the Idoneth's Leviathan. I really like the idea of it. Also, it's taken the Leviathan and completely bastardized it, which I kind of like. You've got a grabber net and another snatcher thingy. It's got regeneration, which is kind of nice. And then we get a melee unit. The Gut Rippers had spears in Dominion. They've got axes here. And the Man Skewer Bolt Boys, the ones with the two-handed crossbows. And we saw in a previous preview the ones where they've got the bigger Beast Skewer ballista thing as well. So it's a lot.
It looks like the entire theme is grab.
It seems like for the Kruleboyz, yeah, it kind of is. And we know that's not all of it because they've said there will be even more miniatures for both factions coming soon, as well as when they come out in August, a third battle tome will come in October for Chaos. Some Chaos army or another. Oh. I'm thinking maybe Beasts of Chaos would be a nice place to go, but we shall see.
I just had a thought. Did Skaven ever get a battle tome? Because I know yes. Clan Pestilence did, but did Skaven did they? Okay, because I've never seen the basic Skaven battle tome ever. I've never seen an image of it.
It's a bit out of date. It's a bit old now. It's an AOS 2 battle tome. It was done a few years ago now. But it's there. It exists. It had a bit of an update to Clan Raya, I think, most recently in Broken Realms Kragnos. So it exists.
Fair enough. Because I only remember seeing the AOS 1 Clan Pestilence one.
No, there was one for all the clans together. We also get confirmation that on Saturday the 10th, there will be a 40k online preview with orcs. Yes, bring it, orcs.
Oh, speaking of orcs, do you want to talk about the Wurrboy?
Yes, shall we? That's a perfect segue.
Yes, Wurrboy. It's a new type of odd boy, which seems to be a weird mix between a mech boy and a weird boy.
It's a really cool model, but it's also really freaking weird.
Appropriate, because it's kind of like a weird boy.
And also odd.
Yes, hey!
So, in description, Wurrboys are able to channel War energy in its most primal animalistic form, leaving storms of psychic energy, etc., 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 off the battlefield. They use pseudo-shamanistic powers to receive visions from Gork and Mork, spurring their fellow hunters toward the biggest prey with proclamations and barely coherent prophecies. So important is this that they are granted a higher level of respect than in Beast Snag society, seen as oracles rather than ticking time bombs like the Weird Boys are.
And the one thing that pretty much everyone would not stop talking about in regards to this model was the fact that it has nipples.
I mean,
Fine attention to detail.
I was going for the fact that it basically raided a Stormcast camp on the way through with all the lightning symbols, but, we'll go with that. Also, it's kept with the theme of being a beast snagger because it's got a bionic leg. If you didn't catch it, there's a bionic leg down there. Though I know some people were quite annoyed because they brought back old Zogwart without bringing back old Zogwart, and some people are not impressed.
Oh yeah, with the new psychic power, yeah.
Yes, so there is a new Witchfire psychic power called Squiggly Curse, which causes mortal wounds on a unit, and if it destroys the unit, then every other enemy unit nearby takes a mortal wound as well, because he turns the enemy into squigs. And I don't know about... Yes. But those of you of a certain vintage, i.e. old people like me and everyone else, need to recall back to 4th edition where old Zogwart, the original Wurrboy named character, had a special power that allowed you to turn a hero into a squig, and you got to play as that squig after you turned them into a squig. Boo. It wasn't like do damage if lethal summon a squig. It was no, that character... with its 1,600 wounds, yeah, that's a squig now. Bye.
What character has 1,600 wounds?
I'm exaggerating for effect. But yes. But yes, back then it would probably have been 8 wounds would probably have been the upper limit. But whatever character it was, whoever they were, no matter what they were, whether it was Marnius, Calgar, or a Primark, or a Space Marine, I nearly said Primaris Lieutenant there, but they didn't exist in 4th edition, a Space Marine Captain, or it was... Abaddon the Despoiler, or some random Eldar Avatar.
Bloodthirster.
Or a Bloodthirster. Yep, all of them could be turned into a squig with one psychic power. And that power is not there, and you don't get to play as the squigs after you turn them into squigs.
Yeah.
So, minor boo, but, it's fine.
Speaking of old, going all the way back to the Horus Heresy, that's the best segue I can do, deal with it.
Yeah.
Malakos had his model released, and as confirmation, it is resin, not plastic.
There was a big discussion about that last episode before, about what it was.
It was in regards to the Argyle model as well, because everyone thought that was going to be plastic as well.
Yes.
But that model isn't out yet, so we don't know in regards to Argyle, but Malakos is resin.
Yeah, which should hopefully kind of keep some people's idea of Forge World being subsumed by Games Workshop at bay for a bit longer.
Yes.
Doesn't rule in or out a 30k box game, but, it's something to keep an eye on.
I mean, we've had 2, plastic box sets for Horus Heresy already, so a third plastic box set's not exactly going to be, a huge shock, let's be honest.
Absolutely not.
Considering that we're still waiting for, Araman to be released standalone, separate from that book, along with Giga Fellhand. I mean, we had Kerfur Said and the other guy released as generic, Space Marine commanders, but hey.
Yes, indeed. Not ideal. But if you are wanting some more resin in your life, then may I suggest a trip to the Underhive, as the Necromundan Water Guild are officially out as part of the Necromunda pre-orders. And we got a look at another new model, that being Clovis the Redeemer.
Oh, yes. Yes, everyone's favourite religious psychopath. With the flamethrower chainsword. Or chainsaw, rather, because it's an eviscerator. I do like how they've updated him to make his new model a lot more dynamic, considering his original one was just like, I point. And they got his sidekick as well, hasn't he? I've forgotten his name. The scribe. The one who looks like a servitor.
Oh, yes. Sorry, yes. Deacon Malakev. I'd completely forgotten that was there.
Yes, he's got a huge makeover, let's be honest, considering that in his original model he was, a short fat man, and now he's a fucking servitor, pretty much. Yeah, because you look at the original models, you can see how different he bloody well looked.
Oh yeah, it's gone from a bloke to a servitor with a face. I don't think there's any humanoid parts left apart from the face
and the book.
Like, my body has gotten in the way of me of reading more books. It's basically what it looks like.
He's got 2 open books. And that arm on his back's probably got a camera in it, so he's basically reading 2 books at the same time.
Or more like he's reading one, and then the other one is for Clovis.
Maybe. But considering Clovis isn't actually there, he's standing on the art books, and he's got the art book in his hand going,
True.
I'm gonna feed these to my hat.
Yes, and he has an ability called Know Your Fate. The Redeemer fixes his gaze upon his enemies and reads aloud from the Liber Excruciatus, informing them of the tortures they can expect. D3 enemy fighters must now immediately make a nerve test with a -1 modifier.
Sounds about right. I can't remember if they've actually kept his original special rules from the older editions of Necromunda where his Exterminator never ran out of ammo. The Exterminator being the flamethrower attachment to his Eviscerator. I can't remember if they've kept that rule for him in this edition of Necromunda or not.
They haven't really hinted at it either way.
Yeah, because from what I can recall, Exterminators, they're literally just a one-shot weapon. Like, you use it once as a flamer, that's it. You can only use it once per game. But he had a special rule, you could use it every turn. Because why not? Flamethrower chainsaws, why the hell not?
Absolutely.
Because 40k.
Especially the Necromunda. But yeah, I do really like, as simple a model as it is compared to like the other Redemptionists, it very much fits in theme with the other Redemptionists in terms of the aesthetic and the design of the whole thing. He doesn't probably stand out as much as some of the other House Agents probably do. But then I suppose that's possibly why they made Malakev so goddamn ridiculous. So that it would mean that when the two of them were together, they would stand out more than he would on his own next to Redemptionists, who also carry flaming chainswords, have flaming hats, and all of this lark.
It's like, estoy en fuego, Mr. Clovis is on fire, as some would say. No?
Right.
No one's going to get the reference, no? Okay.
No, sorry.
I don't speak hip-hop.
How the hell did you get hip-hop from that?
It's a Simpsons reference. This is one of the episodes, I think a guy was just talking gibberish, and he goes, I'm sorry, I don't speak hip-hop.
I thought that was a scene from the South Park movie.
I've never seen the South Park movies. I unfortunately wouldn't know, but it's something that me and friends kind of picked up like a couple of years back, and it was mostly just for like anything anime or whatever, because you can say the English title, but then we had some people who would only tell us the Japanese version, and then we just kind of go, I'm sorry, I don't speak hip hop, because it's just a bunch of gibberish to us.
I just remember that scene from the South Park movie where Chef goes to this general and is like, haven't you heard of the Emancipation Proclamation? I don't listen to hip-hop.
It's the same vein, absolutely.
Yeah. I need to watch that film again. That's such a good film. Still holds up even to this day.
Fair. But if you still have not had your thirst for chainsaws satiated, then may I divert your attention from the Underhive to the Gridiron, where you can find a new star player, presumably for Chaos teams, that being Mr. Max Spleen Ripper.
That's just Warhorse. That's the pro wrestler Warhorse, let's be honest.
With a cornate chainsaw.
That's legal?
It's Blood
Bowl.
I know it's blood. Well, no, I understand. That was a stupid objection. Concerning the dwarves have a death roller, I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. I had to stop myself for a moment going, no, Zoran, you're an idiot.
I mean, let's be honest, he's not exactly the first character to use a chainsaw on Blood Bowl. I think the first one to do was actually a goblin. Because there was a goblin with a chainsaw as well.
Oh, you are correct. Like, I've always been fascinated with the Blood Bowl, and I think the only exposure I've ever had to it was the games, which at some point I'm going to be like playing Blood Bowl for like streams or whatever, because I need to learn it, because what I'm wanting to do, and some of the other guys are excited for it, to actually do like a Blood Bowl league like a tournament where people get to like, root for their favorite team, and we get star players in there and stuff, in which Blood Bowl for me has always been like that encapsulation of like, here's Warhammer at its goofiest. And I love every bit about it. It's just playing the game gets so frustrating.
Yeah, would you do it as tabletop simulator and that sort of thing with the actual tabletop game rules for the new edition, or would you just do it on Blood Bowl?
I thought it was going to be on the video game.
I would play the games. I would play the video games. It just makes it so much faster.
Yeah.
Like if they made a tabletop version of their games, like for like 9th edition and Age of Sigmar and stuff, and they had a video game to take care of all that, I would play that religiously. But they will never do that.
I'd still love for them to make like a real-time version Blood Bowl video game rather than just a turn-based one, rather than just having the board game digitized. Just play it as like, a real-time sports game kind of thing, like Mutant League Football, if you remember that.
Yeah, like I feel that would be interesting. I think it would be really fun to see how that goes. I know I would fear that it would lose its dice rolling charm. So because once you take away the screams, the knuckle, I feel Blood Bowl kind of loses its thing. There's always that risk, all that slight risk that your main player just gets killed immediately just because of a bad dice roll. And once you get to the real time thing, you can do so much more with it. And I feel like both of them would be amazing, but I know I would be sad if Nuffle wasn't there to screw me.
Also, let's say it's time to remember that one instance of Blood Bowl that had Necrons and Nids involved.
Yes.
They had Necrons in there? No,
there was a Blood Bowl short story where two players are getting teleported into the 40k universe. They go back in through that portal, and a gene still follows them onto the pitch. And the commentator's like, who's that player? I don't know, never seen him before, but he's tearing his way through, and it's a touchdown, but his score's been disqualified because we don't know what team he's playing for.
And I think he's popped the ball.
Yeah, but I didn't care about that. It's like, don't worry about that. But yeah, that was absolutely crazy. Blood Bowl was just wacky as hell.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I love it.
And what the fuck's my dog barking at?
I was going to say, speaking of crazy, I think we need to delve back into the spoiler room, Remleiz, but also I'm conscious we've been recording for an hour and 20 minutes, so I'm not sure whether we want to go into the spoiler room for the craziness of Gascoigne, or we want to jump to questions.
Well, we still got to talk about the new Black Library limited editions.
Oh, God, yes, that too. Oh, God, right, yep, more news. Sorry. Got distracted.
Yeah, a whole bunch of new limited editions have been teased. Some of them were to be expected, like this new Siege of Terror book game limited edition, obviously, because let's be honest, they all have, which looks absolutely lovely, as they all do, with a nice white scar sigil on it. And also in regards to new books, The Twice Dead King is getting a special edition, which is the Necron and Orc novel by Nate Crowley. And as is Volpone Glory, which is about the Volponian Blue Bloods, if I recall, which is part of the Sabbath Worlds crusade.
Yes, we saw the standard edition covers of those books sort of in the last Black Library preview release cycle. So this is just adding to that in terms of showing their limited editions, which is very nice to see. They do look really nice, both of them.
What's also surprising is the fact that two very old books are also getting new limited editions.
Yes.
One of them being Double Eagle, which makes sense.
Classic.
And it is part of the Sabbat Worlds Crusade storyline, considering that's getting a huge push recently. It kind of makes sense, as to why that would get a limited edition, even though that came out in like 2004. And the other one is Storm of Iron, of all fucking things, which is the Iron Warriors novel from like 2002. And that's getting a limited edition release. It's like, wow, only like... They should have just waited until next year for its 20th anniversary, to be honest.
I think they actually mentioned this in the article. Bear in mind, Iron Within, the new animation, Warhammer Plus. It might be that this is sort of going to come out around the time that gets its first episode, because people are going to go, oh, I want to learn about Iron Warriors. Where do I go to learn about Iron Warriors? Here's this new shiny limited edition with 2 short stories and the big story from Graham McNeil. Here you go.
And it sells out within 10 minutes.
Well, yes, possibly. But, you know, in terms of it puts more minds onto the Iron Warriors around the time of the animation release. So there may be some marketing tactics involved there.
Fair enough.
I don't know, I'm just chucking it out.
But
I keep looking at these books. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I have nothing lore-wise. I keep looking at these books, and I'm so glad I don't, like, invest heavily in the lore, because I would probably buy all these, because every one of these books just look gorgeous.
Yeah, but bear in mind, Zoran, you
I'm
basically
a sucker for these.
You have about 15 minutes, and then they disappear forever, so...
I know! That's the worst part, because I'm saying the Warhammer because I love these like leather like just tomes or whatever. The Double Eagle one looks amazing, and it's like, oh, I want them, but I'll never have them. I'll never have them, and it upsets me so much.
I can
But
imagine.
I'm sorry, I interrupted. Keep going.
No, this is absolutely fine. What was I going to say? Fuck. I mean, I just want to post that. There you go, Zoran.
For context, Remleiz has posted a picture of his special edition bookshelf just because he's just trying to brag.
Hate you.
That's only half of them.
My dream one day is that when I'm like old and retired or something, and I got 20 years to do whatever. I just want to start from I just want to have that study hall or that study room. It's like
it is worth pointing out, Zoran, that Remleiz has agents. He's had help.
So I don't have context for that. So
Remleiz has agents who basically just help him snipe them
in fairness,
time.
In fairness, that only really applies to books that are released at special events, not for online release. Like, for example, I had to get Snipe and Wimp to get me that limited edition for Horus Rising, because that was only available at Warhammer World, and it took them about 3 days to get it. Because every day, the first day they went to pick it up for me, because they were going there anyway. They went there, and they were queuing up outside, and as soon as they got through the door, they were told it was sold out. As soon as they got through the door.
Aww.
Went back in the next day. Nope, sold out. Went back in the third day. They got it.
Listen, I love sniping. They're really good people.
They are.
Yeah, I hate you. I just want all those books.
Again, I just want to point out
all nice, pristine.
I just want to point out that's only half of them.
And don't ask how much it cost.
Don't rub it in. I don't need you to do this to me. Let me just be jealous for a second, okay? Let me have my jealousy and just shut up.
I do want to point out as well, the Space Marine Conquest limited editions piss me the fuck off because 2 of them aren't even properly aligned in regards to their names. Only Shrike and Cassius are properly aligned. Azrael's halfway down the fucking spine, and Russ doesn't even have his name on the fucking spine at all.
And the Indomitus Special Edition, did that just wear off?
Pretty much. All the gold is rubbed off on the main thing. It's all peeled off, and I've not even fucking touched it. I literally touched it once to reshuffle the bookshelf. That was it. And I looked at it, I was like, oh, the fucking gold paint's peeled off. And I've not even fucking touched it, it just flaked off.
Yeah. But speaking of, now I think, are we ready to delve the spoiler room of your most recent limited edition acquisition?
Given the time, we probably actually don't have enough time, to be honest.
Oh, God, yeah.
Especially since you want to get off to watch the England-Ukraine match.
Yeah. I'm not saying anything more than that.
Yeah,
but yes.
Sports units. Yeah, go. Do a goal.
I just want to say, in regards to the England-Ukraine game, something, Vindaloo, nah.
But yes, with that in mind, given as much as we are all itching to find out what's going to happen in the next installment of the Gazgul novel, it's probably not going to be long enough. So we'll knock that back a week.
Yes. Right. If Fires of Syraxis were to come out, do you think they would have similar rules to Relic units like they do for Space Marines?
For what units?
Relic units.
Oh, relic units. I thought you said rag units the first time.
Yes, rag units. Basically, Catch Amphasias. Rag units.
Right, okay, fair enough. I don't know. I do not remember anything about Fires of Syraxis other than that it existed or was supposed to exist and then didn't. Like
it was basically focused on Tau versus Admech.
Relic units for those two armies? No.
I would suppose like relic units. Would that be sort of like the Horus Heresy automata for the Mechanicus? Because that was like the big selling point, wasn't it?
Possibly. Like they could have introduced a unique relic STC to the Mechanicus, I suppose, but like not for the Tau. There was to be nothing for the Tau there, I don't think.
Because I would love them to add like rules like, oh, here's how you can incorporate Vorax into your 40k games.
You just have an unhealthy obsession with Vorax.
The Vorax are awesome, and you know it.
I didn't say anything different. I just said you have an unhealthy obsession with Vorax.
It's not an unhealthy obsession. Right. If Baal was overrun by the Nids and possibly consume the body of Sanguinius, okay, if the Nids possibly consume the body of Sanguinius, would the Blood Angels exterminate us their own home planet?
Yes.
So, well, Dagon,
got that cleared
shit.
up.
I mean, let's be honest. Dante is Captain Pragmatic. He was fully accepting, we are going to die here, so let's just die as best we can. At that point, if he's like, yeah, we've lost, there's nothing we can do, we've lost Sanguinius, they'll probably all go Black Rage and throw themselves into the combat anyway, and more than likely, there will be a encoded message from Mephiston just saying, we are done, just blow the whole thing. Like, Mephiston and Dante were willing to exterminate us a planet that Mephiston was on just to stop a Gene Stealer cult getting anywhere. If the whole planet's being overrun and they could wipe out half a Hive Fleet by blowing up a planet, then damn straight they'll blow up the planet.
Fair enough.
Well, that's my opinion anyway.
Is it possible to worship only part of a Chaos God? Like Nurgle worship without the pestilence and disease but just death, or a Tzeentch cult of inventors and philosophers but not necessarily psychers?
It would start there, but it would not in the long run, I think.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you find, and that's what we're reading in the Sigmar book. It's sort of like, you pray for salvation from a plague, and Nurgle hears you and turns it around. You look for inspiration as a revolutionary or as a spark of invention and genius, and that leads you down the Tzeentchian rabbit hole. So at some point, you may start only worshipping one aspect unwittingly, but once they've got their claws into you.
Fair enough. Question regarding Godblight. I've still not finished reading yet, so I'm going to ignore that, sorry. Question for Tech. Is it strange that the crime rate in the Tau Empire is really low, but the accident rate is really high?
There's no confirmed evidence of that particular stat. That's just the assumption. But that is probably...
Yeah, I think that's like the joke playing on the fact that someone talks about Farsight and the Ethereals mysteriously have them disappear.
Oh, it wasn't that they had him mysteriously disappear. They actively branded him a traitor and wiped him from history.
No, I mean people talking about Farsight mysteriously disappear, apparently.
Yes, that is true. So at that point, it's not an accident. It's just that they're never heard from again. So
they accidentally stabbed themselves 17 times in the back while shaving.
Yeah, it's less a assassination cohort. It's an abduction job. So it's not about accident rates. It's just they get abducted, and that's the end of the matter. So yes, it's not a coincidence. It's a thing. It's just it's not framed quite the way that you seem to be trying to phrase it.
How much free will does a demon Primarch have? Bear in mind, everyone, we've not read Godblight, so anything in regards to that we don't know. I've heard some things saying apparently what happens in that book, but again, can't confirm because I've not read the book, so gotta ignore that.
Yeah. Of what I know, I would say the answer is probably more than you think, but less than they think. Like, they'll be given free will to conduct their campaign however they see fit, to chase their own goals, but in reality, they're still serving the great game and the God's will in some way or form.
They're still on a leash.
Yeah, it might be a slightly less visible leash or a slightly longer leash, than your average greater demon, but it's still a leash. And it's still as tight as ever.
I mean, all I gotta do is look at Be'lakor. I know he's not a Primark, but he thinks he has free will, and literally everything he does is because of the other gods. Yeah, he thinks he has free will of his own, even though he doesn't.
Precisely.
Yeah, I feel at that point you get into a large philosophical discussion, like, what is being free? And then it's like, but I guess it's, I guess the question would be like, hey, can I go to this planet instead of this planet? And if they're like, yeah, sure, whatever. Sure, anything that they're doing is like, hell yeah, like, you know, you just go do whatever. Whatever you're doing is helping me out, so I just don't care. But I think they're going like, no, you have to do this specific thing. You have to go to this planet, which I don't think is that restrictive. I think most of the demon Primarchs are just kind of like, yeah, I can kind of like, I can willingly go do a lot of this other stuff, or whatever you're doing. Sure, it's part of the plan.
Has a Titan ever tripped on the battlefield, and if so, how do they get back up? Well, generally, if a Titan falls over on the battlefield, it probably ain't going to get up.
Yeah, I was going to say, Titans going down is rare. Bear in mind that a Titan tripping over something it would have to be something very A, big, and B, strong, because they could probably kick over most buildings and structures in their way without trying all that hard. Like, they're probably not going to be able to step over city walls, but you don't catch a case of a princeps, you know, slightly running into an overly large boulder and doing a comical Looney Tunes splat. Their steps are so high and so long that they can step over any obstacle and will have pre-planned every maneuver. It's the Mechanicus, for goodness sake. And if one does go down, then, well, unless your Secretarii are on point, it has no arms. So how is it going to get up again unless
it has a Power Fist attachment?
Some do, not all do.
Oh, that being said, someone has replied to that comment saying one fell over in Hell's Reach and it got pissed and just stood back up. How it stood back up, I don't know, but that's what this person in the comments is saying.
Yeah, I'd have to go reread Hell's Reach. It's been a long time since I read it.
Right. Right. It's a question spoiler in regards to the Gazcon novel. I won't go for that just because we haven't finished that one yet.
Yep, fine.
Regards, even though it was something we already discussed, but hey. If the Skaven appeared in modern 40k due to warp fuckery, would they fit in?
Yes.
Well, it depends which interpretation of the HUD you want to go for.
I mean,
if you want to go for the Rat HUD or the Bendy HUD, which one do you want?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, like, the Skaven are a bit low tech for Warhammer 40k in some ways. They were too high tech for Warhammer Fantasy in terms of what they could do. In AOS, their tech level is about right in terms of they have access to machinery and weapons of war that make no goddamn sense, but fit within the level of complexity and technology of the setting that has flying skyships and the like. In 40k, they'd be very low tech, and it would kind of be like working with basically just tiny cowardly orcs, where they have crazy magic that they have no control over and can create weapons of war that are absolute Looney Tunes, but also are very risky for the user, and they can have giant beasts of war that they sometimes ride into battle, but they're nowhere near as powerful as anything the orcs could be. They'd basically just be crap orcs with a hint of Tyrannid Swarm. Like, because of the setting, yes, probably. Would there be any use in the setting in the game? No, they'd be awful.
Fair enough. Question for Tag. What would you recommend to someone on how to start playing AOS?
Playing? Well, the new rulebook is really good for that because, you know, it's AOS launch day. So get the rulebook, and the new rules are actually sorted into categories like 16-point whatevers. Everything is referenced, everything is quoted. It's actually a really nice document to navigate with little pop-out explanations and examples off to the left-hand side. So if you want to learn to play the game, then get the rules. You can get them for free. They're available on the Warhammer community website. There's an article which basically gives you the rules for free, the core rules. Get that, read that. In terms of picking an army, go for just read the lore. I know it's a bit basic, but read the lore, see what seems cool. The new rulebook will really help with this because it has a double-page spread or more for every single faction. So read the lore in the rulebook, pick a faction you like the sound of, and then, get the battle tome. In terms of armies to pick up that are good player, new player-friendly armies, Stormcast, Oryx, because they put them in the starter box. Cities of Sigmar are diverse, so it allows you to play around a lot, but also have a fair few simple mechanics that you can then complexify later. Something like the Fire Slayers are a bit synergistic, but also would work. Caradron, if you like technology, that would work. Seraphon, possibly Slaves to Darkness and Chaos would be a good one to explore. Soulblight Gravelords, I haven't really tried playing with them yet. I haven't really looked at their book properly, but they've got a huge faction diversity as well. So yeah, just buy the rule book, read the rules, read the lore, find someone to play against, pick an army and go. Not that complicated.
Fair enough.
that was a bit blunt of me.
That's alright. Do you think it would be better if we didn't have art or exact explanations of what the Chaos Gods look like, and instead that the descriptions were kept ambiguous or eldritch?
I don't think we need the exact ins and outs.
Yeah, because we already have the exact descriptions and, official art of the Chaos Gods. Literally, Nurgle is just a gigantic Great Unclean One, for example.
Yeah, and Tzeentch is ever-shifting. We know that. We don't have an art piece, but we have a rough idea from descriptions of what Slaanesh typically looks like.
No, we do have official art.
Do we? I know we've got the descriptors, but I can't think of any official piece.
All the official art came from first edition. From of all 4 Chaos Gods, all the official art came from. But I think some Chaos Gods did get official art post first edition. I think Khorne did, for example. I'll just bring it up because the art was kind of that typical Rogue Trader era funky. To put it lightly.
Yeah, let's go with that.
So Slaanesh was described as being half male, half female, both and neither at the same time.
And still is.
Yeah. But it's the only official artistic depiction we have of them with that description. That's what I meant.
Yes.
But I think it would have been better if the descriptions were kept more vague, just to imply they were more, maybe Lovecraftian horror type thing about them. I don't know.
I think it depends on which god you're talking about, as well. Khorne is straight up no nonsense. This is what Khorne is about. So I think you could almost push Khorne more in terms of what they look like and how they work in more detail, but maybe with Tzeentch, because they work in schemes and keep it vague, maybe you could do the same and almost... I know it would lead to an imbalance in terms of the descriptions for the fans of that faction, but you can almost lean into or out of the detail depending on which god you're talking about and how much detail you'd reasonably expect to know.
That reminds me. You know Khorne's icon?
Yep.
Am I the only one who doesn't see it as a skull, even though it's described as being a skull?
Now you say it, I can see it. I'd never thought of it until you mentioned it, but now you say it, I see it.
What about you, Zoran? Zoran?
I
thought you fell asleep.
No, sorry. I was actually trying to take care of some background stuff that got very important, so I apologize for being rude.
It's fine.
But, I kind of... Yes, skip. I have no comment. I can't say anything or else I'm going to get yelled at.
Okay, didn't realise you were reporting directly to Corn. Right. What would each Primark have as a favourite drink, alcoholic or otherwise?
Oh boy, this is going to start.
Don't say it.
controversy.
Don't say the word.
I was saying, like, can I clear Leman Russ is Mjod, if I recall correctly. Or was it ale? It's one of the two. Probably Mjod.
Yeah, it's probably some Viking-like drink.
Because the old law in regards to, like, Space Wolf and recruitment trials, like, aspirants had to, like, drink an entire barrel of ale and eat an entire elk like Leman Russ did. So I imagine his favourite food and drink are elk and ale. Could go well together as a meal, to be honest, in fairness.
Quite possibly. Gilliman's would be probably white wine, because he's Roman.
Yeah. Dante's would be blood. Not Dante, no. Sanguinis, I mean,
blood
sorry.
wine.
Blood wine.
Yeah. Fulgrim, champagne.
Cur's coffee. Go for typical coffee angst. Or was that one meme like to put it? There was like espresso mixed with Monster Energy drink. I wonder if anyone's actually ever done that, mixing espresso with Monster. That can't be good for you.
No.
No. Don't just stop your heart.
Yeah.
I feel like Vulcan's a brandy guy for some reason.
I think it's going to be a drink that really like perks you up and makes you sort of, that sort of like, oh, you're my best friend kind of drink.
Cognac.
Bit too
I imagine-
refined.
Ferris Wheels would probably just be a can of Stella.
No, it would be a can of oil.
Yeah. Oh, we actually had one for Jagatai. He had like it was like fermented milk.
Yeah, that seems kind of on theme for him.
As
During
like
his
a hunter
inspiration,
gatherer
like that.
type thing. Yeah, I could buy it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure if it's fermented so say if it's like yogurt or fermented so it's just like alcoholic milk, so it's like a White Russian.
Yeah. Perturabos would be a Foster's because it's just no nonsense. It's just absolute no nonsense pint. Or whatever the most no nonsense pint is, that would be Perturabo.
Fair enough. Who we got left?
Dawn.
Angron. Oh, Dawn. Oh, God.
Something.
Well, the meme answer for Dawn would be tap water. My favourite flavour. Flavourless.
Whatever Perturabo's having, but slightly fancier. Right. So if he orders a John Smith's, he orders like a I don't know,
Kronenberg.
I don't you maybe I don't know my beers. I don't know my beer fanciness ranking well enough.
No, it'd be like it'd be Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Yeah, something like that.
What would Angron be?
Just
Jagerbomb?
rage. Just tequila.
Tequila? Suppose you didn't say go for the Bloody Mary joke.
No, I almost thought of that for Sangria. I was like, no, just blood wine.
What about Lorgar? Oh, ceremonial wine, duh. So, why are we even considering this?
So, my psychic abilities, I can turn water into wine. I didn't steal that from Dad. Mortarian would be, I don't know,
the most vile thing you can come up with.
Red Bull.
Actually, no, hang on. Did Mortarian have his cups?
He did, yeah. It was cups of poison.
Oh, right. Yeah, never mind then. So
Red Bull, yeah.
And did give him wings.
It did, yes.
I hate it here.
Sorry. No. Oh, dear.
Who we got left? Have we mentioned everyone?
Magnus.
Right. What do nerds drink? Mountain Dew.
Yeah, long study
We
session.
gotta do Magnus dirty like that, man. It's like
late night study sessions in the basement. Yeah. Never been there.
Turns out the reason his skin's red is because of all the Dorito dust.
Jesus Christ. Everything's nice with everyone else. Magnus, like, screw this nerd. Just
I mean, I'm still trying to think
dunk on
about
him.
like between Johnson and Alfarius Omegon. Like, what do you even do for Johnson and Alfarius Omegon or Korax?
In fairness, line probably would be something like John Smith's or Stella as well, to be honest.
Possibly, yeah.
Alfarius would be vodka in a water bottle.
Probably, yeah. Or a vodka Coke or something like that.
Cuba Libre. Is that everyone?
Korax.
Korax. What do emos drink? Depression! There we go.
Yeah, think of a suppressing alcohol you can think of, and we'll just give them that.
Bourbon.
Yeah.
Absinthe.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, for maximum edgelord, yeah, absinthe.
Did we forget a Primark, or?
I think we've... Horus.
Uh-oh. Definitely a wine. Probably just normal red wine.
Definitely something boring.
Nah, he'd be a rosé. I mean, it could be having fucking Baby Sham. Actually, no, he would be Baby Sham. I mean, he thinks he's classy, but he's actually evil and horrible on the inside. There you go. It's Baby Sham. But look on the price side. We didn't give anyone fucking White Lightning.
I'm surprised. To be honest, if we didn't know about the fermented milk, that would have been what Jagatai got. Let's be fair here.
Jagatai is a bit more class than drinking fucking White Lightning, mate.
But he's the white scars with the lightning insignia.
I know, but he still has more class than drinking White Lightning,
I know.
for God's sake.
I know.
That is just an extreme amount of typecasting. Just you got the symbol on your shoulder, so you have to like it.
I know, but like, that's basically every single thing we've just come up with has been lowest common bloody denominator. Why would we deviate?
I mean, with Jagatai having fermented milk, which could either be yogurt or White Russian. If it's the White Russian, then Jagatai is basically the dude from The Big Lebowski. It's like your
Anyway,
like your
before we
opinion,
say something
man.
we really shouldn't, let's move on.
Hey, The Big Lebowski was a great movie.
No, I'm more meaning that if we carry on down this rabbit hole, I don't know where it's going to end. So let's just...
Oh.
Next question.
How much time we got for questions, considering you want to get off for the 30 soon?
8 minutes to kick off.
Right, okay. So we got time for one or two more. Okay. Right. Considering GW is not subtle with their naming, why is the Blood Angels chapter master named Dante? Did he walk through some 9 circles of hell?
9th Legion.
It's probably just, as one person replied in the comments, which I do think it is, it's probably just due to the fact that a lot of Space Marines have names based on classical literature and biblical angels, and plus Dante is more of a common Italian name, and you have like other angel characters like, you know, Blood Angel, Dark Angels like Azrael and Belial, etc.
Samael,
Yeah.
Ezekiel, like every single Dark Angel's name character pretty much.
Pretty
they
much,
probably
yeah.
just stick to the name motif. It's like, yeah, it's part of the thing. Just keep going.
I think with the Blood Angels, they did actually just originally go for more of an Italian theme.
I mean, Corbulo, Mephiston or Mephisto, I guess.
And Mephiston's was originally called like Cogliostro, wasn't he?
Calistarius.
Calistarius. What did it get Cogliostro from? That's
I
fucking
have no
Spawn,
idea.
isn't it? That's from Spawn. How I confused fucking Blood Angels with Spawn.
I mean, it's Mephiston.
I just want to point out Keith Day would do a really awesome voice on Mephiston, I reckon.
Probably.
Leave a comment down below if you think Keith David would do awesome Mephiston's voice. Right, and one more. One more. Are the Tau Ethereals more psychically in tune than any other Tau cast, or are they just as inert as the rest?
If you believe xenology, then they're not.
The only thing we know in regards to the Ethereals is that they have a stronger soul than the other Tau.
So they should have a stronger psychic imprint then.
Potentially, yeah, but officially they're not psychers. Officially. But there is a potential that they are minor psychers of some sort, or have developed some other weird warp link of some connection, or they just are abnormal in the way that they have just naturally stronger souls than other Tau, which means they were more likely to develop some sort of psychic potential in their evolution. That is, unless you want to believe that Farsight himself is a latent psyker or not. Due to the psychic visions he was receiving in Crisis of Faith.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of Farsight being a latent psycho and not knowing it. I think that's a pretty cool idea, but might turn him into a bit too much of a bit of a Gary Stew, though. It's like, oh yes, I have the psychic powers and I have a sword.
Yes, I have a soul, I have a time-stealing sword, I've got latent psychic powers, and I'm the only one in my species that does so. And I have a badass battlesuit with its own personal AI that I can talk to. And did I mention I'm such a hard-ass that I fought greater demons and stared into the face of chaos itself, and I came out alive? Why don't you like me? I just went full-on Wingy Edgelord. I don't see Farsight like that, just for the record. He's still one of my favourite characters. Shut up.
In fairness, at least he's not wearing a fedora and going, Shisera. You know, Shisera.
I know Shisera. I got Shisera. It's the fedora I didn't get.
You know, the whole milady.
Right.
Shisera. No?
No. Right.
Leave a comment down below if you got the joke.
I've heard the meme, but yeah. Anyway. Right. And with that, as I prove how completely uneducated I am in every single way about all things that aren't Warhammer 40,000 and Age of Sigmar, I think that's a good place to end the episode.
Yes. So something, Vindaloo, no.
Yes, it's coming home and all that. There you go. I said it, I hope. Anyway, thank you very much to ZoranTheBear for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you on the show once again.
Likewise, it's always a fantastic time to hang out with you guys.
Yes, and if you haven't, I will leave a link in the description to Zoran's channel. You can go over there, check out Warhams if any of the TTRPG stuff we discussed earlier in the show has any appeal to you whatsoever. I really think you should give it a look. Not something I've really had a chance to look into, but I have heard very, very good things, so do head over there. And with that, thank you as well to Remleiz for joining me.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. So, with all that said, thank you for watching, everybody. This has been Tactica Imperialis.
This is Remleiz from 40k Theories.
And I'm ZoranTheBear.
And we'll see you all next time. Bye for now.
Goodbye.